So my name is Nicola, and this is my daughter Catherine, and this is Catherine's cousin Sarah. Catherine spent the first 25 years of her life living with her father and myself and her two younger brothers, Dominic and Benjamin. And then when she was 25, she moved into her own house within a housing cooperative. So a lot of planning went into her moving here, and a huge amount of work has been done by a lot of people to help Catherine live the good life that she does live. We've been very lucky because we've had incredible support from so many people, family and lots of people living in the community who've helped us and have enriched Catherine's life. So it hasn't been just us, you know. I should mention right away that when she was tiny and when she was diagnosed as having severe and widespread brain damage, I was told, put her into an institution. You know, forget you ever had her, go home and have more children. So I went home and had more children, but there's no way Catherine would ever have landed up in an institution. She grew up relatively normally with the rest of us, except she didn't go to school. There were no schools in those days, folks, nothing. And some other parents and I got together when Catherine was about 12, and we got a school program going for the first time for children with multiple disabilities. And we sort of progressed them from there. And I consider Catherine my best teacher. She has taught me so much about ability and disability, and the fact that anyone, even with the most significant disabilities, can live a regular life in the community.
It was such a disappointment when in Manitoba our government gave the Manitoba MDC, what's this?
Manitoba Developmental Centre.
This $40 million to keep people excluded from community, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, that was just such a shock, and it makes way more sense to use that money to have people experience community. Isn't changing. Like, what would it take, you know?
It seems crazy to perpetuate something that's rotten.
Exactly.
You know? And in fact, I think there were, roughly speaking, there were 400 people. There are 400 people who exist in the Manitoba Developmental Centre. And this was $40 million. And I'm lousy at math, but even I can figure out that that's $100,000 per individual, which could have helped them into the community.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, none of us wants to see people living in really grungy, grotty circumstances. So it was right in the interim to make life a bit better for some of the people there who were having a bad time. But it should have been a stopgap thing. The main thrust should have been getting everybody out of that institution. They've done that in other provinces. In Canada. Why not Manitoba?
I know.
I mean, God, we're going bloody backwards. One of their arguments is that that people have lived there so long that they wouldn't want to move. You know, they've chosen to live there. The point is that they're not receiving a choice.
Yeah.
They're not being brought out into Winnipeg or Portage or wherever they come from and show this is where you excuse me, this is where you could be living. You know, in an apartment and sharing with a friend or something like that. They're not given a choice.
And it's very hard to make a choice about something that you haven't seen, or that you can't imagine because you've never experienced it.
Yeah.
The people who are the experts on disability aren't doctors. They are people with disabilities. It's about valuing the knowledge that people have from the experience of having a disability. Like, when you live in the community, when you go for a walk, when you go out and see people, you're always encountering barriers. Anyone who uses a wheelchair knows that there's problems with an accessible environment, and they don't change unless you're there and you say, hey, I can't get in. But yeah, I think other arguments are that people's disabilities are too complex or something, which is also
Nonsense.
Yeah.
I think I can say safely that she would love to see everybody in institutions live the kind of life that she has managed to live. That's terribly important, certainly important to me, and I think it's important to Catherine. I know it is. Catherine doesn't speak, so I don't like really speaking for her, but I know she would hate to live in an institution.
Right.
You know, anyone, even with the most significant disabilities, can live a regular life in the community.